Last year in Nashville, the closing laps of the TNN All-American 400. Frontrunners Bobby Daughter and Jody Ridley collided in the third turn, which gathered in the cars driven by Harold Thayer and Kenny Wallace. But it was number 52, Butch Miller, who miraculously slithered to the bottom and romped home with his second consecutive win. Miller is back in Tennessee to try to make it 3.
Well, right now we're a little out to lunch, but I can remember a couple years ago when we spent like 2 weeks here out to lunch, and finally at the last second, the last practice session, we changed one shock absorber and the car was fast. We're kind of hoping for that right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the scene of the crime, Turn 3 at Nashville Motor Raceway. I'm Steve Evans. But you know, that race-deciding crash really should go blameless. The biggest factor was the wall here at Nashville on the half mile is so low in Turn 3, drivers can't see it out that right side window. And that's a lot of pressure when you're competing in the richest short-track stock car race in North America. And also, you're competing against other drivers you usually just read about and don't race against, because there's 3 organizations involved. All Pro from down here in the South, the American Speed Association, or ASA, from the Midwest, and the American Canadian Tour Cars from the northeast of the United States and eastern provinces of Canada. Back on the front straight, the grid is being established right now, and Brock Yates is there.
Well, Steve, anybody who saw that terrific TNN All-American 400 last year will remember this number 72, the automobile of Junior Hanley. From way up in Ontario, Canada, Junior dominated this race last year, ran way out front for most of the event until a clutch failed on him. Now he's back, sitting on the pole here, having dominated last week's first 50-lap qualifier. And, Junior, you got to feel good about this. I know you're hoping that the clutch stays together this time, though.
Well, we got a little different clutch in the car this time. We were using aluminum clutch before, and now we got a steel, and we hope it stays in.
Racetrack, good shape. You got a great field of cars, great day for racing, and a great place to start.
Well, we're starting up front here, but I don't know how long we can stay here because we're running a V8 motor. A lot of guys are running a 6-cylinder, so we got to take it real easy on our tires and see what happens.
Okay, well, all the best. We know you give it a great shot.
Thank you very much.
Junior Hanley. Now, another car on the outside of the front row is also a V8-powered automobile. We've got some different ones in the back of the field, but Jody Ridley from Chatsworth, Georgia, also ran up front in this race last year, did a beautiful job until he tangled 3 laps from the end with another automobile and put him out in a tragic finish. Fortunately, though, Jody ran very well again here this year, qualified well in last week's qualifying race, is starting on the outside of the front row in a Ford Thunderbird-powered car. So we got a Chevrolet and a Ford up front, and a great veteran. Jody, you have always run well here on this racetrack, but of course you want to put that horrible deal out of your memory from last year. But this year is a whole new deal, a whole new car, and you got to feel good.
Well, I do. You know, the car ran pretty good yesterday, and we made a change or two in it. And, you know, it went about like I figured. You know, if we can keep fresh tires on, we'll be in good shape. But, you know, we got a little power advantage over the V6s, but, you know, they got a handling advantage over us, so it kind of equals out, I guess. But we feel pretty good about our chances.
Okay, go get him. One of the great professionals in this business, Jody Ridley. You know, Jody talked about the practice times yesterday, but the V6s are a concern for him, and as well as Junior Hanley up front with their V8-powered cars. And for more on those kind of automobiles and the different automobiles in the field, let's go to our pal, Paul Page.
That's right, Brock. Back here in the second row, we're talking V6 power. And on the inside of the second row is one of the great masters, Dick Trickle. Dick, you think the V6s are going to play, especially toward the end of the race here?
Well, I think, you know, we got a rule here. We can only change 2 tires per caution period, you know, and the V8s will run out of rubber at times, and in long greens, the V6 will for sure be good. And last week's race, when we went to qualify, I ran second and right on the leader's bumper with a V6, so it was already showing up in a 50-lap race, so I'm sure in a 400, if things go normal, I would expect to see a V6 in the winner's circle here.
Now, you're getting around the pit still on crutches from your Watkins Glen accident. Is that going to bother you during the run?
Really not. I got a special brace at Dr. Hunter out of St. Louis. He's a sports medicine doctor and an orthopedic surgeon. I got a special brace that I drive in, and I really can't apply a lot of pressure to the heel and ankle, but I can work the ball to foot real well, which is what I drive with. So I can't walk, but I can drive.
No question. And on the outside of the second row, again, we're talking V6 power. It's the defending champion, Butch Miller. He made a change from the V8 that he used in last week's race. He's hoping V6 will pay off today. Let's go further back in the field. Brock Yates.
Well, Paul, starting on the inside of the third row, was a local favorite who ran so well in last week's 50-lap qualifier, David Green, from right outside here in Nashville in Goodlettsville, Tennessee. And David, first of all, congratulations on an excellent starting position. And I know you feel good about the race car, and you got a great day to go racing, and I know you got a bunch of folks up in the grandstand cheering for you.
Yeah, this is kind of home for me. You know, it's not really my home racetrack, but I have two brothers here at Race Weekly, and I kind of, you know, treat it that way. But last week's qualifying went real good. The qualifying races, the car was real competitive, and Junior and I really put on a good race. So I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of veterans up here, and I'm really excited.
Well, we're sure excited to have you up here. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay, David Green in a Chevrolet V8 aluminum powered, and on the outside, yet another Chevrolet powered automobile, a man we've seen run here so well over the years. Harold Fair talking with his son, his crew chief, for some last-minute information. And if we could just slide in here, we'll talk to Harold for just a minute out of Detroit, Michigan. Harold, I know you've run so well here over the years, and I know you're looking for a victory today.
Yeah, Brock, we worked pretty hard getting down here, and we feel the car is capable. We had to tighten her up a little bit after the qualifying race, but I feel that we can be right in the hunt all day long, and we're kind of really wanting this one kind of bad.
The outside of the third row, Ray up near the front. What's the strategy for the opening laps?
Well, we're not going to let them get away. We're going to kind of cool it a little bit in the beginning, but if we can run up here, we're going to run up here and just kind of try to stay in the lead pack all day and kind of see how the track turns out and whether we got to tighten, loosen, whatever we have to do. But whatever it takes, we're going to try to do it.
Good luck. All the best. Harold Fair. Paul?
Well, Brock, here inside of the fourth row is Dave Jackson, the 45 car. And here we're talking six-cylinder power. As a matter of fact, the fastest six-cylinder in the field. You feel good about that?
Oh, yes, we do. We're really proud of our six. We're one of the fastest six here, and we're hoping to take it to the front and stay up there. We're hoping the V8s will slow down this hot weather.
There's a lot of folks that seem to think the V8s are going to wear tires out and have to stop more. Is that the way you feel?
Yeah, they'll be wearing them out. We're hoping that we can go a little further, but it's going to have to wait and see at the beginning of the race, see how things go.
All right, Dave Jackson, inside of the fourth row. Now, as we come around to the outside, here's a name that everybody knows, a master of the short tracks, and of course, we're talking none other than Bob Seneker. Bob, you got a bit of traffic running up against you.
Well, it is, but it's not too bad because they're mostly good boys. We don't got to worry about them messing up on us. It's better than starting back in the middle of the pack, but not as good as starting in the front row.
When you got a long run like this, though, this starting position doesn't hurt you nearly as bad, does it?
No, it really doesn't. It's such a long race. We kind of got to pace ourselves a little because the tires wear really bad on this racetrack, but it's still going to be like a 400-lap dash, I'm afraid. Nobody else wants to slow down much.
All right, there's Bob Seneker ready to go. Now, way back in the 15th row is a man that we're going to be watching very early on.
Well, Paul, starting way back in the 15th row, based on some qualifying problems, is a young man from California, Ernie Urban, who has cut such a wide swath in Winston Cup competition. First time here at Nashville, of course, excluding last week's qualifying races. But Ernie Urban, I'll tell you what, got to be kind of a fun deal here to come. I know that you're a little more used to starting closer to the front, but what are we going to say, right?
Well, I tell you, these guys are real good competitors, and they're a lot of fun to be around, and it's an enjoyable weekend. It's our weekend off, and these guys are the guys that are going to come try to knock us out of our seats here soon. So, it gets me a feel for the guys. Purvis has moved up into our ranks now, and I think Teddy Musgrave's going to be running some races with us, and I'm going to help him out. So, it's fun to come to Nashville. It's an historical place, to make my first trip here, make the race, and had a little trouble last week with qualifying, but we got it all straightened out today, and we're going to give him a run for it today, I think.
Ernie Urban. Steve?
What a fascinating mix of drivers and automobiles. The TNN All-American 400 already has classic written all over it, and it hasn't even started yet. But it will when we come back. So stay with us for short track stock car racing from Music City.
You heard some of the drivers say it was going to be tough on tires here at Nashville. Boy, I'll tell you what, Butch Miller's crew sure believes that. Count them, 70 fresh tires sitting in his pit, ready for use here during these 400 laps.
And they may be of different circumferences, but one thing we know for sure, they are the same compound. That is required in the associations competing here today. Everybody runs on what they call a specification tire. There'll be different circumferences, so you can change the stagger on the automobiles, but as far as grip's concerned, they'll all be the same.
And there's going to be a lot of guesswork as far as the stagger here, Steve. Nobody's quite got that figured out. As we have a look at that black and green trimmed automobile, the number 61 of Ernie Irvin, the Californian who's done such a terrific job in his very relatively short career in Winston Cup competition.
Pair of V8s up front, Junior Hanley and Jody Ridley, but they don't feel all that confident about that combination. That came through in their interviews.
Dick Trickle and Butch Miller in the second row. David Green, the local favorite. Harold Fair from Detroit in row 3. Row 4, David Jackson and Bob Seneker. Seneker wish he was a little bit closer to the front, but he'll work his way. He's a patient man. Rick Corelli from Denver, Colorado, and Glenn Allen Jr., young man from Ohio, has done such a good job recently. Russ Earl and Tim Steele, good runners. Ted Musgrave and Steve Burgess, two guys that we're going to see here all day long. Gary St. Amand in that number 7 car. Watch him. He is starting in row 8, but I think can probably do better as the race gets kind of stabilized.
Also, Randy McDonald, the 01 car from Canada. There's a young Charger. He just missed winning the American Canadian Tour Championship this year.
Scott Hansen, we've seen him run very well here in the 53. Jeff Neal, a good runner from ASA. He's a solid competitor. Jeff Purvis and Newt Moore in row 13. Tom Jones, been around a long time, as is Tom Harrington.
And back in row 15 is that 61 car and Ernie Irvin. In the qualifier last week, they dropped a cylinder. We're only running on 7. They've got the 8th one back, and the crowd may get what it wants here, and that's a established NASCAR star moving to the front.
Right. Claude Leclerc, the number 11 from way up in Montreal, Canada, Quebec, one of the American Canadian Tour regulars and a fine driver in his own right. A packed grandstand here at the site of the Tennessee State Fair. A big crowd on hand. A beautiful day of for racing and for just sitting and watching some great short track stock car competition. You know, these cars some of them are running with mufflers. It's become a very interesting option for this kind of automobiles. And earlier, Steve had a look at this new rule.
When the 3 associations get together here in Nashville, there is no muffler requirement. So last year, most of the ASA drivers who normally run mufflers whacked them all off. Well, this year, there's a reward for quieting your machine down a bit. You can shed 50 pounds of weight, but it's not enough to just run a muffler. The muffler is tested here on the backstretch. At 100 feet, it must not be any more than 100 dB. Now, this sound level meter is set at 100. A perfect 100 reading is 0 on this scale. Anything under that, you're safe. Anything over that, well, you can't lose those 50 pounds. Now, an unmuffled car is about 112 dBs, but that's not just 10% louder because decibel readings are logarithmic. Logarithmic. Look it up.
Well, I don't have my dictionary with me, but I got my frequency chart, and I'm going to try to call up number 85, Tim Steele, on our radio.
Listen, Brock Yates from Diamond B Sports. Do you copy, over? I got a copy, Brock. 10-4. Looking out there, Tim. I know you got a ways to go. Are you going to go in the high groove or low? Oh, we're just going to have to see what happens here. All right, good luck, my man. We'll be watching. Thank you.
Well, when you're outside row 6 like Tim Steele, you can't dictate the start. You've got to let it just tell you where to go. The green flag is out, and number 72, Junior Hanley, thunders down into turn 1 and over into 2.
All right, right on his rear bumper, though, is the 98 of Jody Ridley. The 2 front row starters established a quick 1-2 position here as we head around to complete lap number 1. Ridley one more time up in that high groove, the one he really likes here at Nashville. But the red 99 of Dick Trickle trying to poke underneath down low on the apron as we head into turn number 3 on lap number 2 here.
And that fight up front is between Dick Trickle and Butch Miller for that second spot. Jody Ridley and the Thunderbird, again, going high like you say. That can be a problem if you get any traffic in front of you, though.
Ridley is falling back a little bit. He's already been passed by both 99 Dick Trickle and now Corelli in the 6 passes him.
A quick check of 61, Ernie Irvin. He is in the 26th spot. Irvin followed by Jeff Neal. He has moved up 4 positions. That's pretty good progress.
Well, he's got a long way to go, though. Ernie Irvin in that distinctive black and kind of lime green number 61 automobile. You can see him up high there trying to get underneath Jeff Neal and makes it work. There is the two red automobiles. We're going to see most of the afternoon. The 99 of Dick Trickle, the 52 of Butch Miller, sitting back there now trying to run down Junior Hanley.
Miller nor anyone else I can see out there is pacing themselves. One of the drivers said earlier on, this is just a big sprint race. It may be 400 laps, but you run as hard as you can every lap. Now, Jody Ridley has slipped back to the 6th position. Paul Page is in his pits to find out from Brother Biddle why.
Biddle, he's been dropping back pretty steadily from the start. Is that part of the game plan, or you got a problem?
Well, we started on new brake pads, and he's having trouble getting them broke in. We didn't have a change to break them in. He'll be all right after a few laps to get them brakes working good.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on Jody Ridley from here in the pits.
As we'll go back to the race for 12, Tim Steele, Ted Musgrave in the 88, Rick Crawford, 14, 12, Steve Burgess going at it for that position. You know, Steve, Ridley has problems right now, according to his brother, because of the brakes. Oftentimes, we don't think about brakes being used in short track stock car competition, but I'll guarantee you, these guys use these four-wheel discs all the way around on every lap here.
That's right. There's a lot of new brake technology. The short track guys, some of them even using water-cooled brakes, where when they step on the pedal, it shoots a little water onto the disc to try to cool it off. And here is 14, Rick Crawford. He has now moved into that 13th spot, just past 88, Ted Musgrave. It's a surprise to me anyway to see Musgrave that far back.
It is. He has not had a particularly good week here, and last week in the qualifying races, he wasn't among the contenders. And Ted, of course, one of the fine drivers in the ASA ranks.
All right, here we see the race for 4th. It intervals back to 99, Dick Trickle, and 45, Dave Jackson. Trickle in that 4th position.
And here's the race for 6 between Jody Ridley in the 98, Rick Corelli in that number 6, 81 Harold Fair, the black car, and 84 Bob Seneker, trying to get underneath Harold Fair right there. In fact, Seneker, if he can make it work, will take over that position. Yes, he does. So Seneker moves by and pushes Harold Fair back one more spot.
Well, now you can see why this event has attracted an overflow crowd here to Nashville Motor Raceway. It's terrific competition. Stay with us.
Back in Nashville, where the lady you see there intently watching the proceedings is Patty Seneker, the wife of current ASA champion Bob Seneker, now riding among the top 10.
And over in Jody Ridley's pits, his brother Biddle and the rest of the crew, they're getting those 11-gallon apiece gas cans ready, anticipating a pit stop. I think it's still a few laps away, though. There's just preparation going on.
Well, those cans, of course, a fixture in stock car racing dating way back to the 1950s when they were first adapted by NASCAR and are ideal, a very, very safe way to transfer fuel, considering the danger of that kind of procedure.
Junior Hanley still up front in the 72 car. Butch Miller right on his bumper, followed by David Green, number 8, Dick Trickle, number 99, and Dave Jackson. That's the top 5. 6 through 10, well, there's plenty of good names there, including Bob Seneker from Denver, Colorado, the number 6 car. That is Rick Corelli, Harold Fair, Jody Ridley, Russ Erland. Any of them could win this thing.
No question about that, but there's a long, long way to go. As we watch the leader, the white 72, Junior Hanley, probe his way through slower traffic. Right on his rear bumper is the 8 of David Green and the 52 of Butch Miller. And Green challenges down low, but he may have his way blocked by lap traffic in that low groove. It's going to be interesting. Here's a traffic jam coming off turn 4, Steve.
And this Tennessee crowd loves it as one of their own, number 8, David Green, has taken over the 2nd spot. He just handled that traffic of 09 Ronnie Thompson and the blue 71 of John Wilson beautifully.
It did look as if he was going to get blocked on that low side and Butch Miller was going to get around him, but not so. It was David Green who made it work. And now David Green is going to take a shot at the leader, Junior Hanley. Poked down low a little bit on the turn number 4. Saw it wasn't going to work and tucked in behind Junior as they come down the back straightaway.
And Ernie Irvin is in the pits, the 61 car with the hood up, and this looks bad. The engine has been shut off. Urban is still in the car. One of the crewmen is going to put a few gallons of fuel in it. Well, the hood is back down, but here at Nashville, you go a lap down about every 19 seconds. So this is disastrous for the Modesto, California Winston Cup driver having a busman's holiday.
Well, Steve, it looks as if possibly that holiday is over. Ernie is not exactly burning it out of the pits. I think he's just driving the car down toward the exit of pit, or the entrance of the garage area, and he's out for the day, I would imagine.
Yep, he's done. But not so the driver of the number 8 car, Paul Page, has this report.
Well, Steve, here in David Green's pits, they're very happy with the progress of his number 8 car. He just moved into second place. He's been steadily moving up, didn't get the best start in the world. It's an old car, and they really expected to do pretty well here. In fact, there are a lot of people hoping for a victory.
Well, it's got one of the old-fashioned front clips on it. It doesn't have all the fancy suspension, but you'd never know it as he just about gets under Junior Hanley for the win. We're talking about David Green in the 8 car, Hanley the leader in the 72 car, and right behind them comes 52, Butch Miller, the 2-time winner of this event the past 2 years.
Junior Hanley from a suburb of Toronto comes down here once a year to compete in this race and has always done well. As we said earlier, dominated the show last year until the clutch blew out on him, and that ended his attempt for his first win here in the TNN All-American 400.
Look at the red 52 car of Butch Miller go. He went right around the 8 car of David Green and now challenges Junior Hanley. Now you see why he's the 2-time winner here.
All right, nose by a nose, Junior Hanley keeps the lead, but Butch Miller is really attacking now. Sat back there for a while in third place, gave up that position to David Green, and now just charged right past Green and is challenging very hard for the lead.
Ooh, and we're shredding some fiberglass against the wall here in Nashville. That is Newt Moore in the 16 car. You'll recall last week in one of the qualifiers, Newt had a clean spin on the racetrack right in front of Ernie Irvin, who did a great job of getting around him. But this time he collects the wall. The yellow flag is out. We see number 84, Bob Seneker, idling now around the racetrack in 5th. The leader continues to be the number 72 car, that man Junior Hanley, and of course with the yellow out, though, this field may pack up a bit. Brock has got up with Ernie Irvin.
Well, Ernie, it was short, but not very sweet.
No, evidently we didn't get our problem fixed from yesterday. We thought we found it, but it developed a miss again, and it started fluctuating on the oil pressure. And with the dry sump system, that's not good. So instead of trying to take a chance of blowing the motor up, probably better park it.
Well, it was awful good having you here. We'll hope you show up again next year and, run a little more short track business.
I need to, concentrate on my Winston Cup deal, but I want to work hard at running good here, too.
Well, congratulations. Great having you here.
Thank you.
Ernie Irvin, thanks.
All right, for some of these teams, and maybe most of the front runners, this will be a well-timed yellow flag. Let's see how many dip into the pits for service. The leader, Junior Hanley, is in, and the field follows. This will be some wild action on pit road. Even if you still had a little gas and a little bit of tires, you didn't want to take a chance on when the next yellow might be. Down on pit road is Paul Page. Paul?
So with the yellow out, it becomes the center of focus down in the pits now as both Jody Ridley and Junior Hanley come in. Ridley, who's been having problems with his brake pads, trying to get them beaded in, and he's fallen well behind. Well, on the other hand, Junior Hanley has been reporting tire problems.
All right, he is out away. 72, that's 84. Bob Seneca races him out onto the racetrack. But look at this, the 52 car of Butch Miller having problems. It has dropped off the jack. They had a jack failure, and that has radically slowed that pit stop. A bad, bad break for Butch Miller.
Hard to say exactly what happened in the jacking process, but indeed we saw the car slam back down. One of the crew guys alertly somehow wrenched the jack out from under the car, got it back up, got the tires on, and Butch got it back on the racetrack, but at some pretty tremendous cost of time. Okay, right now, Brock Yates is going to try to talk to Junior Hanley.
Junior, you had some tire problems a little early. Is it stagger or is it just more wear than you expected?
Just wanted to make sure that we wasn't going to wear them out too quick, so we just took in and looked at them, and they're pretty well worn down.
Okay, more than you expected at this stage of the race?
In about 50 laps, they'd be wore out, and it probably would have been 50, and they would have been wore out.
Okay, we'll be watching.
Okay.
And in Junior's pits, indeed, the crew is looking at those tires, trying to learn something for the continuation of this event. Just how many laps can they really count on the rubber on this hot, very dry day in Nashville, Tennessee?
So they continue to clean up the wreck in turn number 3. We'll be back with more racing from the TNN All-American 400 right after this.
TNN All-American 400. I'm Steve Evans along with Brock Yates and Paul Page. Butch Miller, the 52 car who had jack problems on his first pit stop. He is clear back in 20th, challenging Rick Crawford.
Rick Crawford out of Mobile, Alabama, one of the all-pro specialists, has come up here to compete in this race. Having a go with Butch Miller, the 52 automobile, who, as Steve said, had big problems during his pit stop, falling way back and now trying to work his way toward the front. But I'll tell you what, he's not doing a very good job right now, Steve.
No, but Junior Hanley is in the 72 car as he gets around 18. Russ Erlin to retake the lead. Hanley lost the lead when he pitted. Russ Erlin inherited first place. He did not pit. So now Junior Hanley regains what he feels is his rightful place.
But right now, the big story is Butch Miller, who's trying to make his way back into contention. Paul Page is in his pit with crew chief Roy Gidlin.
He had a little bit of trouble with Butch's last stop. What happened there?
We got the car up final, and the gas man plugged the thing in too hard and knocked it off the jack. So, you know, luckily we didn't go a lap down on the deal. He said the car was a little loose there, so we come in and put a set of your tires on, tighten it up. I don't know. Hopefully that was the worst stop we'll have all day.
At least he keeps a sense of humor.
First time, Brock, I ever heard a gas man get blamed for knocking a car off the jack.
Yeah, they're usually big guys to wheel those 11-gallon cans around, but not big enough to kick a car off a jack.
Well, number 99, Dick Trickle, had a pretty good stop and now is about a 2-car length lead over Scott Hansen. Trickle running 5th. Hansen in the 53 car in the 6th position. They're followed by 10 Summers, 12 Steve Burgess, Jody Ridley, the 98 car, Gary Santamon.
Remember, Jody started on the outside of the front row, and his brother reported brake problems. Presumably, they have been corrected during that first pit stop.
And trying to come underneath Junior Hanley for the lead is 84, Bob Seneker. Seneker benefited the most from the pit stop action we saw just a few moments ago. He really had a terrific beneficial stop. And look at him trying to get Junior Hanley, and he does.
Bob Seneker down the back straightaway, takes the lead and then has to almost give it up as Junior Hanley takes the high side off turn number 4, and it'll be a neck-and-neck duel down the front straightaway, and Junior finally uses the superior horsepower of that Chevrolet V8 of his to pull out about a car-length lead as they complete yet another lap.
And forced high is Seneker as they both have to deal with traffic on the racetrack. As soon as they're clear of that, I think you'll see Seneker get back down low again.
Oh, trouble. And turn number 3, that is Steve Burgess in the 12 car. Eau Claire, Wisconsin, an ASA regular, has spun and will obviously bring out the caution flag. He's got the racetrack blocked down in the low groove, so it's going to take a while to get this automobile cleared away. It doesn't look like Burgess is going to be able to restart. Perhaps it was a blown engine or something broken in the drivetrain that caused the spin. But in any case, that will slow everybody down. And you know, Steve, you got to wonder if, in fact, some of the guys had waited until this stop. They could have gone this far, this caution, I should say. But everybody came in on that first caution, and this is going to change the cadence of the event because you're going to see some other guys now make their stop here, and that could change the sequence of stops near the end of the race.
Oh, you're absolutely right. The one real luck factor in this kind of racing is when do those yellow flags come out, and you can't afford usually to ignore one, and they're not going to. The leaders are back in again. They hadn't been out that long.
Remember, you can only change 2 tires per stop, so presumably the leaders will change left side tires at this time. And now let's go to Paul in the Hanley pits.
And here's Junior Hanley rolling into his pit in the far end with Burgess's accident as they bring up the left side of the car. And there's some confusion at the back as they have trouble getting that left rear off. Now finally they get the left rear pulled, and what is turning out to be a very long stop for Junior Hanley. One of the air guns went south on him, and one of the crewmen bangs that gun against the wall in frustration as Junior Hanley runs back into the fight.
What a costly bobble in the pits that was as everybody got around Junior Hanley. Again, let's go to Paul.
What happened to you here?
They just got hung up in the gun, Paul. Broke.
Exactly the wrong time, huh?
Right.
Well, that is D.C. Tucker, the jackman Paul was talking to, and he's a familiar face in the Winston Cup pits over the years, Brock.
Been around a long time. Worked with the Wallace brothers out of St. Louis. Kenny Wallace, he was here with Kenny last year as they worked on that piece of equipment. A disastrous stop now for Junior Hanley. And remember, Butch Miller was a victim of a bad stop a little earlier.
Jack problems, wheel problems, potential brake problems. Earlier, Paul Page filed this report, though, on some new brake technology that may avoid some of those problems.
Well, you know, Steve, they're always talking about the contributions of the space program to our everyday life. And since our everyday life is racing, here's Ray Vesta's latest contribution right off the space shuttle. Remember, they were having trouble getting that thing stopped, so they needed some better brakes. Well, here they are. In this case, they're done up to work on racing equipment. Now, that is a carbon ceramic brake pad. Can't see much by looking at it, but the presence of the ceramics keeps the brake temperatures down and helps the heat that builds up during the braking process dissipate quickly. Keeps your temperatures down about 1,100 degrees as opposed to 1,800. Now, they've been using this successfully on Al Unser Jr.'s car in the Indy cars, and well, that won him a championship. And many of the competitors here today are using exactly the same brake. You're on a short track like this, you got to make sure you can depend on these kind of things.
And they will get more important as this long race progresses. We're getting ready for a restart. Gary St. Amant, Carroll Fair, David Jackson, Jeff Purvis, and David Green are among the leaders in the top 5 here. Tony Raines, Harrington, Seneker, Trickle, and Ridley. Trickle and Ridley, of course, early leaders in this event. Falling back, going to try to work their way up front.
You know, Brock, with the problems for Butch Miller and also Junior Hanley, the racing is going to be all over this racetrack. There's people way back that shouldn't be or you wouldn't expect to be. Here's the race for second.
That is Harold Fair in the black 81. The 45 car of Dave Jackson down the back straightaway. Fair out of Detroit, Michigan, a familiar face on the ASA circuit. Pulls out a little bit, but Gary St. Amant in the 7 car, he continues to lead it here. Now, he's out of Ohio. Almost didn't come down here, Steve. He said that maybe they weren't going to bring the race car down. The last minute, they decided to come down and have a go at it. So far, they're doing all right.
Absolutely. Their pit stops have been flawless. St. Amant has stayed out of trouble, and that's the big thing when you get cars all over this kind of a cranky old half mile. The pavement's rough, the walls are low and hard to see, as we mentioned earlier. And here is a race for 14th. That is the 6 car of Rick Corelli, and 52, Butch Miller still trying to move up.
Butch Miller trying to recover from that disaster, a small disaster he had in the pits. Rick Corelli out of Denver, Colorado, currently in the 14th position, generally runs with the All-Pro League down south. But you know, Steve, 72, the pole sitter, Junior Hanley, seems to be slowing. He just doesn't seem to have the kind of power that he had earlier in the race.
Well, here we can see the tire stash for number 52, Butch Miller. He certainly is not going to run out of rubber, and rubber may be Junior Hanley's problem. Could be associated with whatever miscue they had on that pit stop. He's definitely slowing down, but Butch Miller has fired up the afterburner.
So, as we go on, carry on here, Miller charges toward the front. Can he make it? For number 3, stick with us. We'll be right back.
Quickly, things can change in short track racing. Here on the half mile in Nashville, while we were gone, Gary St. Amant, number 7, has fallen clear back to 3rd. He was leading the thing, but Butch Miller, the big story right now, he is blasting his way through this field, trying to recover from that disastrous jacking incident in the pits. Hanson Summers has moved up. Dick Trickle, Jody Ridley, they should be coming up to the pack, but don't appear to be, Brock Yates.
Well, these are very evenly matched automobiles, Steve, and if you fall way back, it's hard to make up ground.
Well, Gary St. Amant now feeling the pressure, now seeing the red 52 car of Butch Miller. Miller tried to take away St. Amant's 3rd spot, and I believe he's going to do that. Miller, who was as far back as 14th, has now rallied back up into 3rd. Now, we've talked a lot about the tires on these cars and the stash of tires Butch Miller and others have. Obviously, his rubber is working to perfection right now, but it takes not only good tires, they have to be mounted on exactly the right wheels.
Go to any stock car race in the United States, from Daytona to here in Nashville, and you'll see these familiar black steel wheels with the red pinstripe. They're Bassett wheels, and they're used almost exclusively by the major stock car teams, both in Winston Cup racing and in this kind of short track competition. Why? Because of their strength, their durability, and their high tolerances as far as machining is concerned. These lug nuts, for example, these holes are perfectly positioned so that they'll stay in balance when the wheels are mounted up and run at high speed. They're fantastic wheels, very strong, and in fact built in the town of Bassett, Wisconsin. By how many people? Thousands of wheels turned out here. By how many? 5 employees. An interesting little operation, Bassett Wheels.
Well, they must all have at least 6 arms to turn out that many wheels. All right, you talk about a race. Butch Miller right now closing in on David Green. Remember Green, the number 8 car, the simple little car that really shouldn't be running with the big boys? Well, it certainly is. Butch Miller right now finding out just how tough he can be to get around.
David Green, a fine young race driver, did a super job in one of the qualifying races last week as he battles it out with Butch Miller down into turns 1 and 2, fighting for the 2nd position. Miller get by? Yes, apparently so. Butch Miller moves into 2nd place as he continues his recovery from that early problem in the pits.
Well, here's a fellow who has run out of luck. Number 10, Jay Summers, headed to the garage and was running as high as 7th. But back in 1988, well, he had enough luck to last him the rest of his life. He won the Michigan lottery worth approximately $6 million.
And why is Jay Summers racing his stock car?
Because he can. And here's a man that can. There's the 72 car of Junior Hanley. He's in the 6th spot. Gary sent him off the 7 car, who's been running so steady out here, is holding Junior off, and proudly. And what amazes me is how few problems these cars have had. We've only had 2 cautions, and neither one of those were serious. One up against the wall. In fact, 2 of them just up against the wall. No big deal. So far, this has been a very clean, competitive race. But we saw last year it could be green the entire 396 laps, and then all heck breaks loose on this half mile. Very unpredictable racetrack. And of course, there is one driver who just recently went out. Brock Yates is still back in the garage area to talk to him about his problems.
Well, Steve, I'm with Jay Summers, who fell out in the number 10. Did you have any warning, Jay?
Yeah, I dropped the valve, and I went around another lap. Maybe I thought it was a spark plug wire. I was going to come in and change it, but as soon as I come around the other corner, I lost another valve, so I just shut her down.
What's the racetrack like out there?
It's getting slick.
Is it?
Not bad, though. On the upper groove is the only place to run. You can't run on the bottom.
Well, we're not, just too green down there, rubber up there in the top?
Too much sand and stuff on the bottom yet.
Okay, well, we're sorry you're out.
Thanks.
Speaking of sand, Brock, I hope you handed Jay Summers our real estate proposal for that project down in Florida. See if the boys interested in investing a little of that $6 million in something other than a ASA stock car. Well, I'll tell you a couple of guys with a big investment in their machines. That's 52, Butch Miller, and he's closing in on 84, Bob Centerman. We got one into the wall. Rick Crawford, big time this time.
Rick Crawford out of Mobile, Alabama, up against the fence at turn number 2. Apparently the race car is going to try to get it back underway, but he's got a flat left front tire for sure, and a whole bunch else wrong with that car as well. No way he's going to get underway.
And here in replay we can see, he hit the wall a pretty good blow. Of course, these fiberglass bodies kind of exaggerate that appearance as they flail away where the metal just kind of bends, but he got a pretty good wrap.
He got out of control as he came off turn number 1 and just slid up against the fence. And that obviously is going to bring out the caution and bring Junior Hanley back into the pits. A mob scene now in the pits, Steve Evans. Everybody coming in.
Well, you just can't let them come in and get fresh rubber and you not do that. You just can't, even though you think, I'll stay out here. My tires aren't that bad. I got plenty of fuel, and I'll get the lead, or I'll move up 10 positions. It's going to bite you later.
Well, remember, we saw 70 tires stacked up in Butch Miller's pit, and they may very well use them all. As Junior Hanley has yet another relatively slow stop. Dick Trickle there and Bob Seneker. There's Butch Miller. Everybody got back on the track. That is crew chief for Ted Musgrave, Vic Getzloff. Remember, he was Dick Trickle's crew chief for many, many years, conferring with his man, trying to figure out what the best strategy is from here on in.
And you know, a fellow who had a good strategy but just has had some bad breaks is Harold Fair. Harold is a lap down, and Brock's going to try to talk to him on the radio.
Harold, this is Brock Yates, Diamond B. You copy?
Yeah, I got you, Brock.
I think you got some problems out there. Is that right? Right now you're a lap down. Can you get it back?
Well, Brock, we're having some problems with tires. We got to get the stagger right here. We had a little push in the beginning,
And then we went the other way and really got the car really loose and it got out to lunch. So we're working feverishly in the pits and we're going to see if we can't get it back. Okay, my friend, we hope you get another yellow to get that work done. I hope so too, Brock.
Yes, indeed, Harold Fair wouldn't mind seeing another couple of yellows. Ted Musgrave, however, is the new leader. Good racing and good pit work that put him up front of the TNN All-American 400. Stay with us. The best may be yet to come.
Back in Nashville and under caution. Actually, while we were away, we had a very brief flurry when we had to restart under green. But as soon as the flag fell, this happened. That is Claude Leclerc in the number 11 off of turn number 2 down into the back straight and up against the infield fence quite hard. Claude out of the race, and once again the yellow back out. Steve Evans.
Well, that'll be bad news to the fans of one of Canada's most popular race car drivers ever from the province of Quebec, the French-Canadian Claude Leclerc. He is out of it. Ted Musgrave is on the point, number 88, followed by number 8, David Green. He's just always there. Then Seneca, Junior Hanley coming back. Rick Corelli is hanging in there steady. Tim Steele, Gary St. Amant, Russell and Jody Ridley and Scott Hansen. That's the top 10 with the green about to come out.
So Musgrave, who's come out of the middle of the pack to lead it here, brings him off turn number 4 to take the green. We're back racing again. And that is Musgrave down into turn number 1, the number 8 car, David Green, right behind him. We've got a couple of lap cars up in there, the 46 of Bill Zardo and Tom Harrington in the 91, but they'll get out of the way and let Green and Musgrave duke it out for the lead here in Nashville.
Number 8, David Green. What an incredible job he has done. He's 32 years old from Owensboro, Kentucky. He builds race cars for a living, but next season hopes to be a paid driver exclusively, and with this kind of talent, he may well be. He has now taken the lead away from Ted Musgrave.
Steve, I'll tell you another kid that came from Owensboro, Kentucky and made a legend here at Nashville. The name, Darrell Waltrip. So, if he follows in the footsteps of that man, who's to know how high David Green will go in this sport?
And here's the race for third. 84, Bob Seneca, 72. Junior Hanley trying to come back from some pit problems. And Rick Corelli, number 6 from Denver, who has just driven a very nice, steady race, has had good, competent pit work, and is right there in the hunt in the 5th position. Junior Hanley remains in 4th, however, the 72 car with Rick Corelli, number 6, and Tim Steele, number 85, just behind him. The 2nd position belongs to Ted Musgrave. He is right behind number 8, David Green. Musgrave followed by Seneca in the 3rd position. Seneca right now moving up on the 88 car, and it is Seneca taking over the 2nd spot from Ted Musgrave. Quickly, let's again visit the garage area where Brock has found Claude Leclerc.
Claude, bad luck. What happened?
I think the wrong stagger and the car came loose and very loose.
We're sorry you're out. You always give us a good show. Come back again next year.
Okay. If the car will be repaired for next year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think that all meant that the tires on the right were a little too much bigger than the tires on the left. If I understand stagger properly, that's what happened to the French-Canadian. And look at the competition Brock gains.
72, Junior Hanley continues his charge toward the front, right behind him. Corelli down low with that two-tone blue automobile, the 88, that's Musgrave. What a mob scene as they head down into turn number 3.
The 6th place car in there is number 85, Tim Steele. And this may be hard for Harold Fair fans to accept, but the 81 car in there is a lap down.
So they're going to try to work their way around the 71 car of John Wilson as he falls back a little bit farther. And there is the 72 car being challenged by Corelli. Junior Hanley being challenged down low by Corelli. Rick Corelli is going to get around Junior Hanley at least briefly until that big power comes into play down the front straight.
And the 88 car has fallen back while all this is going on. Musgrave does not right now have the handle on the racetrack. Let's go to Paul with 88's crew chief.
Big Ted's been dropping back pretty steadily now. What is he saying to you? What's the plan?
Well, the tires are getting wore pretty good. We're just going to try to stay on the lead lap.
Just hope for another caution and bring him back in. All right, good luck.
Well, Brock, I don't believe that Musgrave is the only driver out there right now hoping for another caution.
No question about it, Steve. Everybody is having problems picking the right slight stagger. In fact, Dick Trickle in the 99 has fallen a lap back, as has Harold Fair. So a couple of the really strong front runners having problems with tire choice here today.
And one of the prime races out there now, as we said, they'd be in the middle of the pack. For 6 is 72 Junior Hanley, 98 Jody Ridley in the Thunderbird, and Butch Miller in the 52 Chevrolet Illumina. But it's 98 asserting himself, Jody Ridley, challenging Junior Hanley, the 72 car, and he has got him. But Butch Miller, the 52 machine, the red car, he is closing on 98 Jody Ridley as well. So 52 Miller and Ridley both get around Junior Hanley, and now it's Butch Miller and 52 closing in on that Thunderbird. Remember, the two of them in one of the qualifying races last weekend went lap after lap, virtually side by side. The biggest concern right now, obviously, is the rubber on these cars, particularly the rubber on the outside, the right side that takes more of a beating on a high-banked racetrack. And this means the crews are going to make a lot of tire changes, and there's really 2 different wheel setups they have to deal with, Brock reports.
Steve, I'm in Jody Ridley's bed, and as you'll notice, his wheel setup is just a little bit different than some of the other guys running. This is what's called a wide 5 bolt pattern. You notice the bolts are on the outside of the rim as opposed to being on the inside like a conventional stock wheel. Now, some of the guys use this because they think the wheel's a little bit lighter, and it may very well be, and it's ideally suited for short track racing where you don't have to make pit stops. But some of the other people say that it's kind of a disadvantage when you're trying to do really quick wheel changes. But Ridley's crew has been doing a fantastic job all day long. Even with this slight handicap, their pit stops have been just about as quick as anybody's.
And they're plenty quick at the racetrack right now. Tim Steele on the inside, the red 85 car. Jody Ridley in the Thunderbird, and here comes Butch Miller alongside Steele, drafting right in behind the Thunderbird. This is the race for 3rd. Jody Ridley's got 3rd right now.
Boy, he is trying to make up for that time he lost with the brake problems earlier in the go. So there's Butch Miller. 3 guys that ought to be up among the leaders as we move into the more serious stages of this race. Stay with us.
The driver of the 88 car got exactly what he needed. That was a yellow flag. Then he really got what he needed. A dream pit stop from his crew. They took on fuel and right side rubber in 12.5 seconds. That put him back into the lead. Good work, Vic and crew.
Well, a lot of people thought that Ted Musgrave was going to be a factor in this race, and certainly after kind of a middling start, he's worked his way up front, and that pit work by Vic Tetzlaff and his crew was just a capping on a terrific day so far for Ted Musgrave.
Well, back under green flag racing with Musgrave up front, followed by Jody Ridley, 98, 84 Seneca, Junior Hanley, 72, Scott Hansen, 53. He's going to get a tremendous amount of pressure. 6th through 10th, well, that looks like this. It is Gary St. Amant, just always there in that 7 car. Neal, Steele, Miller, and Green.
Well, the big surprise, of course, is Miller, way back there in 9th place, and it's just been purely pit work and tire problems that held him up, as has interfered, of course, with the progress of 99 Dick Trickle. So this race is still up for grabs.
And this is the race for 6th position. Gary St. Amant, the number 7 car, is in 6th. Just behind him is Jeff Neal in that 5 car. Then Steele and 52 Butch Miller.
We know on the last stop, Miller was having enough trouble on the pit, so they tried to use a couple of jacks. ASA rules only permit 1 jack, and the official stepped in and said, no, can't do that.
Well, it takes a pair of jacks or better to play. That's what I always thought, Brock. Apparently so did Butch.
Well, don't ask Butch Miller about that right now.
No, he's still a little bit hot. All right, Tim Steele and Butch Miller, they are both getting by. They have gotten by number 7, Gary St. Amant.
So St. Amant falls back a little bit as this mob scene here at Nashville continues unabated. They just, a whole bunch of cars trying to struggle through the field. Oh, trouble! St. Amant whacks the wall up in turn number 3.
I don't think he got into the wall too hard, Brock. Boy, it sure looked for a moment like he did, but there doesn't appear to be that much damage to the number 7 car. But boy, that was scary.
Still, though, Steve, the yellow flag will fly. They'll check the racetrack for debris. He's bent up the right rear a little bit, but as you say, I don't think the car is hurt all that much. But we are under caution, and we'll surely see some pit stops. Surely, absolutely, this car number 7, as we watch that Yeah, you're absolutely right. He may have nicked the wall in the initial impact, but probably not, although you can see just a little bit of bent bodywork right behind the right rear tire.
That might have happened earlier in the race, made contact with another car, but I don't think he really got any of the white off the wall on this one. But, well, I'll tell you, that turn 3, it has decided so many races and so many drivers' destiny here at Nashville.
As the St. Amant crew gets ready for their man to stop, here is Vic Getzlaff and company going to work on Ted Musgrave's automobile. Jody Ridley in as well. They're going to make a tire change there as the man who caused the yellow comes in, Gary St. Amant. Let's go to Paul.
And here's Gary St. Amant coming in under the yellow that he caused with his own spin up between 3 and 4. As they change left side rubber here, Bud St. Amant had a little bit of trouble talking Gary back into the pits, but after 2 laps running into the yellow, he finally answered the call and rolls away. The car seems none the worse for wear.
But the tire certainly is the worst for wear, and there you can see all of the gravel. It's actually material off of the racetrack, this old porous surface that is embedding itself right into the rubber on that tire. But Gary St. Amant, who started 16th in that 7th car, is back out on the racetrack. Paul is still in his pit with his father, Bud. Paul?
Well, Bud, from an 8th row start, you've been running pretty good in the top 5 most of the day. What'd you do, cut a tire down there?
Yeah, we had a left rear flat on us.
Well, that's terrible luck for as good as he's been doing. What have you been reporting?
Well, he said the car's been feeling real good. It just got a little bit loose that last time because we had a left rear tire going down.
And good fortune, it didn't look like the car caught the wall at all.
Just barely. I don't think we heard anything.
Just a touch, looking good. Have a good day. Gary St. Amant keeps on the track.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Right now, Brock has on his radio the driver of car number 84, Bob Seneker, and that's very appropriate because Seneker is now the leader. He didn't pit.
Bob, we just spotted Musgrave come in and take left side tires. Is that going to affect your strategies as far as not stopping?
No, but we're going to have to make another stop here before it's over. Sometimes getting out of sync here is trouble. Sometimes it's an advantage. We'll just have to wait and see what happens here.
Okay, Roger. Thanks.
We will indeed have to wait and see what happens. But right now, the crew of Gary St. Amant, they are bringing him back in, and they are going to now go for right side rubber on that car. Remember, Brock explained before, under yellow, you can only change 2 tires at a time. They needed to change the left rear due to a problem, a cut tire, and that spin. Now they've got the right side. They could be in pretty good shape, Brock.
Well, it's a lucky break for him that the yellow stayed out so long, considering that his car was the one that caused it to begin with. That is Vic Getzlaff once again, Ted Musgrave's crew chief, conferring. They've been conferring all afternoon, but it's worked so far. They got their man up near the front. We'll be back with more at Nashville.
Nashville Motor Raceway, the TNN All-American 400. I'm Steve Evans, along with Brock Yates, Paul Page, and Bob Seneker leads it. Tim Steele in the 2nd spot. Butch Miller continues to rise to the front, followed by David Green, who's been steady all day, as has Corelli in the 5th spot. The amazing thing is Gary St. Amant in the 10th place stayed on the lead lap, even though he pitted twice. He's got 4 tires, the only one that has that kind of fresh rubber. Brock, call up the 2nd place driver.
Steele, Brock Yates, Diamond P Sports. You copy, over?
I got a copy on you, Brock.
Good job. You're poking your way right up amongst them. You've been there most of the later stages of the race. How's she feeling from here on in?
Well, the car's still pretty good. We're just running a little short on tires right now. I got the guys running around trying to find some tires for us. Other than that, we're all right.
I got a couple on my rental car you can use.
Okay, appreciate that. They might last a little longer than these are right now.
Okay, we wish you the best. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Brock.
Yates, it sounded like you woke him up from a nap.
These guys are pretty cool, I'll tell you, especially on the yellows. As we get ready, though, to get back underway, the green is out.
And Dick Trickle, the red 99 car, has a chance to unlap himself if he can get around Bob Seneker here. Trickle is back on the lead lap. Now he needs a yellow where he can circle around and tag on the end.
What a good break, a good start for Dick Trickle. You know, Trickle and Seneker are probably the 2 real veterans in ASA short track stock car racing. They know each other.
And look at this. You'd never know Tim Steele, the red 85 car, was short on rubber. As he told Brock on the radio, he is challenging big time Bob Seneker in the 84 car for the lead, and he's got it.
A couple of Michigan drivers going at it here for the lead in Nashville. And boy, they are almost goes rubbing fenders down into turn number 3. Seneker tucked down, trying to get that low groove, but Tim Steele's got it. Steele is doing a super job. Look at this, as close a racing as we've seen all day long. These two professionals doing a great job. Seneker pulled away just a little bit down the back straightaway, but then maybe will he get a little bit of an edge here? Yeah, he kind of tucked down in front of Tim there to take that lead back.
He almost got a little bit of Seneca's left rear quarter panel, but now Seneca firmly establishes himself back up front again. The fight is just behind these drivers, and that's going to be for the 3rd position. There we see Butch Miller in 52, 8 David Green just behind him in 4th.
Well, let's not forget, Steve, at this particular stage of the race in the years past, we've seen Miller sitting back there around 3rd, 4th, just poking around in there, not paying too much attention. We haven't too much, and then suddenly he's moved up to win it. Now, David Green is being listed here as 4th, but make that by about a foot and a half. He is now 3rd. He may be back and forth again because these two guys are having a great race for that position, but right now, David Green has taken over 3rd place from Butch Miller.
And one of the reasons we're seeing such tremendous racing action this late in the event, of course, have been the great pit stop. And there's a little trick some of these guys are using on their wheel that aids in doing that stop a little quicker. Paul told us earlier.
You know, Steve, you can't beat racers for improvising and coming up with great new ideas, even on something as simple as a lug nut. Well, what have they done here? You know, in most racing, when they want to change the tire quickly, they glue the lug nut onto the center of the wheel so that the nuts are there when they put the tire on. Well, here they've come up with a new idea. The lug nuts are all spring-mounted. So there they are, set to go. This also eliminates the possibility of hitting the lug nut with the stud and knocking it off and then having to reach under the car or in your pocket or somewhere else and find the extra lug nut. Pretty good idea. About $140 for 4 wheels.
Dirt Track Modified's doing a very similar thing. Right now, oh, look at this fight for that 2nd spot. Tim Steele, the red 85. David Green, the white number 8. And it is Green establishing himself out front in that 2nd position. Miller is back there in 4th, followed by Hanley, Corelli, Ridley, and Musgrave.
Great bunch of short track stars here fighting it out. As David Green now comes down through here first. And look at Steele and Miller go at it.
I'll tell you, this is why America loves stock car racing. That's what this is.
You know, Steve, so far, though, it's been very close competition, but we've seen very clean driving. Not a lot of flying fiberglass and metal. Guys just doing great work here in very close formation competition.
And as you pointed out, so many of them, oh, and we've got smoke out of the Butch Miller car. Miller has got a left rear tire shredded. Oh, this is going to hurt him, especially where he is out on the racetrack.
Oh, boy, this is a disaster for Butch Miller. If he can recover from this one, it's going to be a miracle.
And that will bring out the caution. He did a lot of drivers a favor with that one, certainly not himself, but a whole bunch of boys are going to be coming in for what should be their very last stop. Some will need fuel only, some will need rubber, some will need both.
He's got a problem in the rear suspension somehow. That left rear wheel is displaced. It's off center. Either something in the carrier, the rear axle, or perhaps the suspension is broken there. But obviously it's serious. And his crew examining it, but not taking. Oh, and they got a flat right rear tire to boot, Steve. So he's got big time problems.
I wonder if this wouldn't go back to when it fell off the jack. He's trying to limp it to the garage area now. You remember, Brock, it fell off the jack at a very hard angle. And here is Seneca in the 84 car. Here's the 8 car of David Green. They're all coming in.
Musgrave in. Going to take on fuel. They're going to change the right side. That's the critical tire side right now. There's Junior Hanley. There is Dick Trickle. Everybody. Although Trickle's going to take on left side rubber.
Now, Musgrave is first out, but that will not put him in the lead. Junior Hanley still having some problems with the 72 car. Gary St. Amant, the number 7 car, did not come into the pits. He didn't need to. You'll remember on that caution that he inadvertently caused himself. He got 4 tires. Oh, and a tire flies right off of Dick Trickle's car.
Well, wait a minute. As it bounces safely back into the infield. Uh-oh, back onto the apron again. Trickle's running all right. Apparently, he picked up a tire from somebody else's pit and shoved it out onto the racetrack, because it's definitely not one of his tires, as one of the crewmen comes along to clear the racetrack. Odd deal, Steve. As you say, it sure looked like he threw a right side tire, but it was not his.
Well, I'll tell you, that was an optical illusion or delusion or whatever. I mean, it absolutely looked like it. And there you can see a little bit of banged up bodywork where Trickle indeed pushed that tire and wheel right out onto the racetrack, kind of like a hockey puck. We'll be back with the closing laps of this incredible event.
We're back at green in the All-American 400 here at Nashville, and Gary St. Amant leads it through a series of bizarre circumstances, brought on in some cases by himself. He spun in turn 3, you'll remember, then came in under caution, changed left side tires, then right side tires, and thereby avoided this last flurry of pit stops. He was able to stay on the racetrack, assume the lead, and it now holds it by about a half a car length over Ted Musgrave.
Well, Gary St. Amant never in his career has been under this kind of pressure for this kind of money. He will not have to visit the pits again, neither should any of the other front runners. This is a battle to the checkered flag. St. Amant with Ted Musgrave right behind him. Now, Musgrave's tires are going to be maybe 10% better than St. Amant's.
That's right. He will have a little bit of an advantage, but nonetheless, it's going to be up to St. Amant to lose this. And now let's go to Paul Page, who's with Gary's dad, Bud, in the pits.
Ted's pushing you pretty hard there. Any real concerns?
No, he's just kind of holding his own there. I think he can hang on there if it goes green all the way.
All right, good luck to you.
So, no apparent concern anyway from Bud St. Amant. I don't know how much Gary's talking on the radio right now. I would say not a whole lot. If there's any talking being done, it'll be from the pits to him, because he is a very busy young man with only 10 laps to go, and he owes some of his current success to Butch Miller, the 52 car, who brought out the yellow that enabled St. Amant to take the lead when everybody else pitted. Now, before the green came back out, Brock Yates had a chance to catch up with Butch Miller, the driver of the 52 car, who has won this Nashville 400 the last 2 years in a row, but would not turn the hat trick on this sunny afternoon in Tennessee.
Okay, so crew continues to try to check this. What's exactly happened, Butch?
I went into the corner, and there's a spherical end bearing on the end of our panhard bar, which keeps the rear end centered underneath the car. And unfortunately, that broke and put our Banquet's Food Chevrolet out of the race.
So just move the whole suspension off center so you can't repair it.
Not really. You know, not to have any chance of winning the race, and that's what we want to do.
Well, we're sorry to see a great show. You were with them all day long, just kind of up and back, but the race cars seem to be working fairly well.
The race car was excellent. We seem to have, if we could have problems in the pits, we had them. From getting blocked in to have an air wrench brake to one time we tried to cheat and use 2 jacks. They wouldn't buy that.
Good show anyway, as always.
Thank you.
Sorry you're out.
Thank you.
Boy, I love that man's enthusiasm and good humor for this business. What we have right now, folks, is 5 laps to go. It may well be a match race between that 7 car of Gary St. Amant and the 88 car of Ted Musgrave.
There they are, nose to tail. They've been that way for about 10 laps, and it's going to be a shootout. There's Gary's mom cheering her boy on as they head down the front straightaway. And believe me, Musgrave is all over him now. Musgrave probably trying to set himself up for a pass here in the later stages of this event. The big question is whether or not Gary St. Amant can hold him off. Gary, a fine driver out of Ohio, run with ASA for a long period of time, never won a major race like this, and he holds him off one more time. 3 laps to go as we watch this TNN All-American 400 unfold.
Now you can see why Ruth was getting so much air there in the pits, jumping up and down. She saw her little baby boy, all 31 years old of him, suddenly just dip out a couple of car lengths ahead of Musgrave. And now she sees that he's holding that advantage. It is time to be happy, Mom.
It sure is. See, now, though, Musgrave moves right in on him in turn number 2. Almost a half a car length, and now, though, St. Amant moves up. It takes about another another full car length down the straightaway.
This would be the biggest win of Gary Sandemont's crew. His mom, his dad, all of their friends, a lot of volunteers there with their fingers crossed. Nobody's breathing as they go on to the last lap. Behind him, Ted Musgrave, far more experience, a man who has won close to $300,000 in short track racing.
They weave their way through some slower lap traffic. These two Chevrolets from the ASA. Gary Saint-Amant coming off turn number 4. Can he hold him off? The winner, Saint-Amant, wins it by a car length.
Just an incredible finish with a bizarre twist they'll be talking about for years and years to come. That yellow flag that he himself caused, nobody could be inventive enough or clever enough to execute something like that on purpose. At least I don't think so. Anyway, it enabled him to get 4 tires, and that was the difference between himself and Ted Musgrave. Stick with us. We'll talk to him. So the 10th annual TNN All-American 400 is history. Gary Saint-Amant, his biggest win ever in his career in the number 7 car. Musgrave, well, came up a car length short. Seneca, Ridley, and David Green put on a great show all afternoon, as did Junior Hanley. Started on the pole, but just couldn't handle it. Steele, Corelli, Hansen, and Erlin round out the top 10. Let's go to Brock right now with what's got to be a happy winner.
Uh-oh. All right, he's going to get a little celebration here. All right. Okay. Gary. Is that a happy man or what? Congratulations. Great show, Gary.
Thank you, Brock.
You had Musgrave all over you for the last 25 or 30 laps. Did you figure you could hold him off?
Oh, I tell you what, I didn't know. I knew we were on new tires. I knew he was on new tires. Everybody else had to pit and get tires, and oh boy, I don't know if I want anybody else behind me. Anybody but Teddy, but oh, we held him off. We held him off.
Where was the turning point in the race for you?
Believe it or not, I think when we blew the left rear tire and we spun out, that put us out of sequence with everybody else. We knew we had a good set of tires on. We decided to stay with what we had.
I'll tell you what, there were a bunch of guys praying for yellow at the end.
Oh, yeah. We weren't
you
one.
You were not.
That's it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Brock.
Super show. Gary Saint-Amant. Great victory. Paul?
And here's Ted Musgrave climbing out of the car. Ted, you gave these fans something to talk about. You made a valiant effort there at the end.
Well, Gary had that thing just perfect, and we had a little loose. I don't know if it was a stagger or if I just run the wheels off the back, but I got to hand it to him. I tried everything I could and pressured him, and he just hung in there. And as you can hear, he's a good guy.
There was a point there, though, you were up helping him quite a bit. Did you think you had a real shot at getting around him at any time?
Well, he was a little underpowered down the straightaway, which helped him get off the corner. So when I got on the gas, I'd spin the wheels and he'd take off. But I could catch him going in, but like I say, he just had a little bit more than me off the corner.
Valiant effort. Comes up second, though, Ted Musgrave. Let's go back to Brock.
Thanks, Paul. And Steve, once again, turn 3 determined the outcome of the TNN All-American 400.
But strangely, it was the car spinning in 3 that won the event. For Brock Yates and Paul Page, I'm Steve Evans. Thanks for joining us.
The executive producer for American Sports Cavalcade is Harvey M. Palish. Produced and directed by John B. Mullen. A promotional consideration.